Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cannabis Live, brought to you by the Cannabis Legal Group. My name is Matthew Roman. I'm the host alongside Craig Aronoff. We are both attorneys at the Cannabis Legal Group.
Thank you, and welcome to our second episode for Cannabis Live. We plan on having live episodes every Wednesday and Friday morning. We look forward to you joining us, taking your questions.
And we just want to welcome any reactions to what we're doing. We really want to foster engagement with the community. Please share it, like it, love it. Send in any questions you may have. Obviously, this is an ever-changing industry, and we really want to get and tailor this show to what the consumer, the marijuana entrepreneur, would like to do in the industry. And if we can be of service in that regard, we'd like to facilitate that.
Absolutely. So today we're going to talk about real estate. And in all real estate ventures, location, location, location. That's what it's all about. Differences in the cannabis industry, the location may really depend on what you're looking to do.
And just so you know, this real estate topic is going to be one of our big topics at our upcoming seminar on June 9th down at Cobo Hall. So we invite you, if you hear what you like today, to come on down, attend, and you'll get a full breadth of what the real estate marijuana market looks like and how you can survive in it as well as excel in it.
Yeah, everything you need to know to get licensed under the Medical Marijuana Facility Licensing Act. So talking about real estate and location, what we find, of course, is that there's a lot of different types of industry within the business. Are you going to be a dispensary, a provisioning center? Are you going to be a cultivator, having a growing operation? Are you interested in processing? Each one of those type of industry will require a different kind of real estate setting.
And I think too, let's just start with provision, right? Everybody knows dispensaries. If you've been down to Detroit, you've seen there's a plethora of them down there. That's called the provisioning license, and what that also is, kind of as a layman term, is a dispensary. It's a retail outlet for medicinal marijuana in the state of Michigan, and these are going to be licensed by the state in the upcoming year. So a lot of people are looking for locations, asking us what they need to know about it. So we're just going to go over a little bit about the basics of where you would want to locate a dispensary and common questions or problems that we see.
And the first and most important thing is you got to find a place in the community that actually will allow you to have a dispensary. So in the upcoming law, what's going to be required of each township or municipality is that they opt in to allowing there to be a means to sell the product in their location. Some areas might just say we're okay having growers in our community, but we don't want to sell it at the street level. Others might be happier to have the actual commercial sale of it in their community. Matt already mentioned Detroit. We know Ann Arbor also has some provisioning centers. So as we look at it, one of the important facets of it is that you need to have a location that allows access and parking and security. And those are going to be important topics as we go through and talk about what municipalities are most interested in protecting their community with.
And actually to the actual size of the building, because that's a question that we often get, is what size does my dispensary need? That's a personal question. Obviously, the type of establishment you want, you can equate it to possibly a liquor store. You have a small liquor store, a big liquor store. Do you have a big inventory, a small inventory? What we've seen on average is probably about 1,500 to 3,000 square feet that most people are looking at for these type of establishments. Think of just a normal retail establishment within a city and tailor it to the type of store that you'd want, and that's the type of space you should be looking at. Just so you know that in the current legislation, the state does not dictate where they need to be zoning-wise. That zoning would be dictated by the local municipality versus cultivators, which we'll get to in a second. The state has said they have to be either on industrial, agriculture, or unzoned land. So really look to that local ordinance or try and get a feel if that municipality is going to opt in where you think they're going to be, maybe by talking to some officials, having us do it for you, but really get a feel so that you can really isolate some key locations and start working on them.
And what we've seen already from the communities that have allowed for the dispensaries to exist in their area is the restrictions that they often look at are what's surrounding your operation. Are you near a church? Are you near a school? Are you near an activity center? Those will be restricted so that you can't be too close to those type of items. So as you're looking, kind of find a place that's isolated in a more commercial district away from those kind of public housing or public segments of the area that you're in. Certainly the schools is a very big determining factor. We know that there's often a restriction as to how close you can be to those, and rightfully so. There's also a question, of course, whether or not you can be in a standalone building versus strip centers or in some kind of office building. Again, this is going to be location dependent in terms of the community that you're in. But as you continue to look for a place that you want to operate, it's important to know that you have those type of options available to you if you do the research in advance.
A couple other things to just elaborate on what Craig said. Schools, parks can be an issue, churches can be an issue, public housing can be an issue, daycares can be an issue. So there's really a multitude of type of entities or type of land that can surround these businesses that can present a problem in regards to the zoning ordinance when people are looking to acquire these pieces and put their businesses there.
And then there's also, of course, the signage and the wantingness to advertise and put up signs. A lot of communities may want to limit what you can do, at least at your location. It doesn't mean you can't have a billboard elsewhere if it's approved for that area, but you might not be able to put a big sign that points, by here, as opposed to having something that's a little more subtle but well known and advertised through the common, apps like Weed Maps and Leafly and whatnot.
And I think too, when we talk about the dispensary, this kind of across the board for processing licenses, secure transport licenses, and testing licenses, a lot of these same restrictions are going to be seen throughout those licenses. The only difference with cultivation, which is the actual growing of the cannabis, is that in regards to cultivation, those have to be state mandated on industrial, agricultural, or unzoned land. So that's the one license that you should only be looking in those three types of land, and the local ordinance can't change that. So a city couldn't say, well, we want ours located in B2 business zoning. It's going to have to be in that industrial, agricultural, or unzoned land, and that presents a lot of problem too, because one of I think the biggest questions that we see from people, and we actually got this in an email yesterday, was when do I buy this land? Obviously, it's a catch-22. In order to apply for these municipal licenses, you have to have a legal interest in the land mostly. And what is that definition? That can be a lease, that can be ownership, that could be an option contract. It's really up to the local municipality to define what that legal interest is. But a lot of people are having problems because they're waiting for municipalities to pass these ordinances. However, though, they don't want to buy prematurely and then the ordinance not be passed and they're in some trouble. And then they don't want to buy after, because what we've seen is as these ordinances are passed, the land values just skyrocket for compliant land. So it's kind of a catch-22, and one of the things that we recommend to our clients is something like option contracts, long due diligence periods, so that you can ensure that your investment's safe as this, almost in a sense roller coaster process goes along until we arrive at the end and we're for sure that area is good to go.
Certainly, and as we already talked about provisioning centers, one of the other licenses, of course, that's going to be of a lot of interest is the growing license. As Matt already mentioned, a growing license, you're only going to be allowed to operate in an agricultural and industrial area or an unzoned area. Again, depending upon the municipality that you're looking to operate in, may dictate where exactly in their community they're going to allow you to have such a facility if they do opt in. And the big challenge between the growing centers versus the other type of licensees is not only that restriction, but making sure, of course, that you have the right kind of security and apparatus around the facility. A lot of the communities that we've been speaking to, that is their biggest concern, is crime and how that could be impacted by having these type of centers. So anonymity into what, and when we go to each of these municipalities, one of the biggest parts of our packages, of course, is developing the security plan in advance, showing them that you're considering these concerns before you walk in the door, so that you've essentially answered all of their questions before they're asked.
And also too, just so you know, in regards to all this and the land, for the municipal people that may be watching out there, municipal employees, you really are in control of where these businesses can be. So really, even though it's state law, which it is, the municipalities have regained or remained very in control of this process, so they can tailor it to exactly what they would like in their community. I guess we have a question here. Let me see what the question is. I believe it's, can dispensaries be near residences? Now, that's totally up to the local ordinances. We see some municipalities saying we don't care where they are. They can be as close to residential zones or residents as they want. Other ones are having 200, 500, 1,000 feet restrictions. And also a big difference too is it'll say either residential zone or residence. So even though there may be a house there, it may not be in a residential zone, and the land is still compliant. So it's very important to really pay attention to those small nuances that can make the difference between a compliant and a non-compliant location.
Yeah, and in particular, residents and residential zones, public housing is kind of a separate niche within that. And so even though there might be approval to be, and you may see a dispensary near houses and it appears to be allowed in a residential area, those residential houses may not be in public housing. And so we've actually seen some concerns where what doesn't appear to be anything different than the neighborhood next to it, it actually has got government investment behind it. And we're finding that that's where there's actually further setbacks. So these are where you get into the minutia of what each ordinance is, and then also what is surrounding these locations.
Another question we're having is dispensary downtown area possible? Yes, that absolutely it's possible. It all really depends on that local ordinance, and that's what it comes down to. So if you're seeking a dispensary in a more populated area, it's important to pick a municipality that has that population, but also that friendly ordinance. The biggest obstacle that we see, obviously, is finding that compliant location in these downtown areas. Just because they're so busy and there's so many things around it, there also presents a lot of problems in regards to the type of things that would prohibit a dispensary from being located there. So it's important now, too, to really start looking at those municipalities, because if there's just a few locations in a big municipality, the price of that real estate is going to go really high really quickly.
Yeah, and another item about just looking at downtown areas, keep in mind each municipality can limit how many different licenses, if they opt in, they want in their community. So they may only want 2 or 3 or maybe 5 dispensaries in their downtown center. And so there's going to be competition to get those prime spots. And that's one of the cautions in Catch-22 as we talk to our clients as they look forward into moving into this process is that we can't have an oversaturated market where all of a sudden...
Another question. What state are we talking about? Well, we are located and licensed in Michigan.
That's
so
correct.
We're both Michigan licensed attorneys. We help businesses in Michigan, but we can take clients from out of state, but we can only service them for the Michigan medicinal marijuana market currently.
And the cannabis business industry, as we know, is extending nationwide. It's actually coming across even borders, because we know Canada is heavily involved in it as well. We welcome clients from anywhere that want to do business in our state. The key is that we're going to have the vetting process that we have and the knowledge of what real estate that you're looking to invest in and where you're putting your dollars.
Another question we have, can a felon open a dispensary? Now that all depends. There's some language in the Public Act 281, which is basically the framework for the Michigan commercial medical marijuana market, that basically says if your felony is over 10 years, you may be okay to apply and get a license. I think the most important thing throughout this process, no matter what, is disclosure. I think the state's looking for honesty. It's looking for people being upfront. Anybody trying to hide a background that may be a problem would only create more problems in the future.
Yeah, and the more recent the felony, the more unlikely it is that a license will be offered. So it's really important to know the details of the felony itself. What was it for, of course, and how long ago was it, and where is it relative to your record? Can it possibly be expunged and whatnot? So it's not a complete no, but it's certainly something to be considered.
In regards to residency requirements in the state of Michigan, if you apply as a corporation, there are no residency requirements. If you apply as a person, there are. So as long as you apply as an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, there are no residency restrictions, which is unique to the Michigan market in a lot of ways compared to some other states.
Yeah, we just have to domesticate your enterprise. In other words, it has to be filed with the state of Michigan. You have to be licensed to operate in the state of Michigan. So if you're an individual trying to operate under your own name, but you don't have any residency here in Michigan, what we would do, of course, is set up a pass-through entity, an LLC, that would allow you to operate under the guise of being an actual Michigan corporation at that point, or a limited liability company.
I'm not kidding. Recreational. Everybody's always asking about recreational.
Yeah,
I think it's coming. I think in the next couple of years we're going to see a big push. MI Legalize. If you guys want a really cool organization to get involved with, definitely check out MI Legalize. They're doing a lot. Obviously, they almost got it on the ballot last time. Let's put it that way. And they're gearing up again with a lot of support. It's got really high voter support right now, at least in the polls. So we're looking to see MI Legalize make some moves and other legalization movements to really get on the ballot. My best guess would be hopefully 2018, 2020, somewhere in there, that we're going to see it get on the ballot and hopefully pass in Michigan, and a recreational market will be established.
And I would say this too. I mean, as exciting as it may be that we'll get to that at some point, what we're dealing with right now is a framework of commercializing the medical marijuana market. And where we're at right now in 2017 is that the state is still putting together that framework. And so we're really focused on helping clients that want to engage into that community and be involved in the cannabis business industry here in Michigan under the state licensing that allows for the medical marijuana product line. So as exciting as it is to think down the line of how cool it'll be when we get to recreational use, we really got to make sure that we do this right the first time when we go through the medical marijuana phase. So as we set up dispensaries and the opportunity to provide provisioning for the medicine, as we set up the growing facilities, as we set up the processing plants and the secure transportation, if we get those bricks in the foundation set up correctly, Michigan will be a really great market to turn that into legal marijuana later, as we're able to handle that framework both from a security standpoint and a supply-demand standpoint.
So, just so you guys know, we want to tell you again, if you like what you heard today, and you're going to hear in the next couple episodes, hopefully some more things that you like and you find interesting, come down June 9th, Cobo Hall. We have some great speakers there. Bob Cart, probably, if not, in my opinion, and probably nationally, the top tax expert in regard to cannabis. He'll be speaking there. Pamela Epstein, she's got a ton of experience in regards to compliance out of Arizona and California. She'll be coming in. Craig and I will be there speaking, as well as Barton from our firm. Come down June 9th. It's an all-day seminar. Tickets are available now. We are doing a Tigers game the day before for VIP tickets, so come rub shoulders with some people in the industry. It's going to be a great event. I promise you, you will get more than your money's worth coming down, and we hopefully see you there. But please check out the website. You can buy a ticket right now. Tickets are limited, so if you want to and you can attend, please do it as quickly as you can. Also, we have a bunch of rooms at the Marriott available, so if you want to come from out of state, learn about the Michigan medical marijuana market, as well as see Detroit, it's coming back. Why don't you come down and get some knowledge? Yeah,
come visit our website at cannabislegalgroup.com. Look for us on Facebook and LinkedIn on our pages. Like our pages. Look for our links for all the seminars and great research and information that we provide. And we'll look forward to seeing you on our next show next Wednesday morning. I believe that's May 10th, and we'll enjoy the opportunity. So from Cannabis Craig and Marijuana
Matt, have a good weekend, and we look forward to seeing you.
You got it. Have a great day, everybody.